The first one was April 1st, I believe. And I went to Walmart that day with my 3 kids. And apparently the cops got called on me. And the cop stopped me at the door and told me that I needed a mask. And I said, no, I'm exempt. And I just kept walking. And then the next day, an officer showed up at my house, didn't identify himself, even though I asked to see his badge number. He said, "You've been served," tossed the ticket at my feet and walked away. So then I ended up talking to the deputy and the chief about this ticket, and the deputy, and we talked about me being exempt, and the deputy agreed to go to court and withdraw it.
Well, we've actually had a few successes here in Saskatchewan. So quite a few of our clients who did have medical exemptions, or at the very least believe they should have medical exemptions, have been able to bring those up to the police or the prosecutors. And to their credit, the police or prosecutors have looked at these medical exemptions, or what should have been a medical exemption, and agreed to drop the charges.
Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
Today you're going to meet Chantel Temple. She's a regular, completely normal lady from Weyburn, Saskatchewan. She could really be any one of us. She found herself on the wrong side of the law, an outlaw, simply because she's medically exempt from wearing a mask or face covering. Chantel is now a client of fightthefines.com. Now, for those of you who don't know, that's a Rebel News civil liberties project where we, in collaboration with the registered Canadian charity, the Democracy Fund, and through the ongoing generous support of our viewers like you at home, put victims of lockdown enforcers in touch with top criminal and civil litigators to fight their lockdown tickets in court at no cost to them. Chantel is a good news story so far. With the help of her lawyer, Luke Kupel, Chantel has had one of her lockdown tickets withdrawn, but she still has one remaining. So today we're going to hear from Chantel, and then we're going to hear from her lawyer, Luke, and then I'm going to ask you to continue to help and support her and about 2,500 other people just like her fight their remaining tickets with the help of their Fight the Fines lawyers. First, though, let's meet Chantel.
The first one was April 1st, I believe, and I went to Walmart that day with my 3 kids. And apparently the cops got called on me, and the cop stopped me at the door and told me that I needed a mask. And I said, no, I'm exempt. And I just kept walking. And at this point, we're in the parking lot now. And she just kept saying, you need a mask. And I just kept saying, no, I'm exempt. And then she said she needed my ID and public health will decide that. And I said, no, I don't need to identify myself. And then she threatened to arrest me in front of my 3 kids. So at that point, I did hand over my ID. And then the next day, an officer showed up at my house, didn't identify himself, even though I asked to see his badge number. He said, you've been served, tossed the ticket at my feet and walked away. So then I ended up talking to the deputy and the chief about this ticket, and the deputy, and we talked about me being exempt, and the deputy agreed to go to court and withdraw it. So we got that one tossed. And then the second one, I can't remember the date, May maybe. I went to a rally in Regina, a freedom rally, and there was about 30 or 40 of us that went into the Cornwall to use the washrooms. And whoever they could identify on the surveillance video, they ticketed. So I don't know how many people got a ticket that day, but there was quite a few of us.
And so, sorry to interrupt you. I was just going to ask you, what were the value of those tickets? So it looks to me, I'm just leafing through your Fight the Fines file. I'm not ignoring you. I'm just looking at the tickets right in front of me. And it looks like on the 24th of April is when you got your second ticket.
Oh, yep.
And the first ticket was, I think, on the 1st of April. But what were the value of those tickets?
Both were $2,800.
Oh my goodness. And the first one was $2,800 for not wearing a mask in Walmart. So you were at one point looking at $5,600. And you said you have little kids. What would $5,600 right out of your family's budget? Like, what would that do to you? I'm not a wealthy person. That's a lot of money.
That is for not wearing a mask during a pandemic.
Now, were your kids scared when the cops were?
Yeah, they were. They were quite concerned that I was going to go to jail. So it was an interesting experience.
And now, has all this stopped you from protesting the lockdown? I feel like it hasn't. Am I right?
You can just see the unjust from it. So no, it hasn't stopped me, and will continue.
We have had a lawyer working hard to have your tickets tossed out. As you noted there, one of those tickets has been tossed out. What has been your experience with our Fight the Fines lawyers?
It's been good. I feel I haven't had to do much, which is kind of a relief for me. They just kind of took charge and dealt with it. So it's been really nice, and they've been good at communicating what's happening. So yeah, it's been a great experience working with them.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that, because ideally that's what I want. I want you to go about your life, take care of your kids, protest the lockdown again if you want to, and let us lift the burden of those tickets and worrying about those tickets and fighting those tickets right off your hands. So I'm very happy to hear that our Fight the Fines team has been doing that for you. And really, we couldn't have done any of this without the support of viewers at home who are constantly donating to fightthefines.com, because for many of them, they have not received a ticket, but they want to help those who have and get involved in the fight for freedom.
Yes, that's awesome.
Do you have a message for everybody at home who has donated to help you? And I guess at this point, we've got 2,500 other people in Fight the Fines who are receiving help.
I guess just a big thank you. Like it's incredible that we've got lawyers on our side, because there's not a lot of people that high up that are on our side. So it's been amazing.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. And, you still do have that one ticket. We are still working very hard to have that one tossed out. We've got a great legal team, as you rightly know, working for you. So again, just Chantel, thank you for fighting for freedom. And thank you to everybody at home who has been helping Chantel, who thinks absolutely. Chantel, thanks for making a stand for freedom in Saskatchewan.
Thank you.
Now let's hear from Luke Kupel from Caritas Law in Saskatoon. He's been working hard for Chantel here.
Well, we've actually had a few successes here in Saskatchewan. Most of those successes have revolved around the prosecutorial standard that is required for these charges. So there's a prosecutorial standard that's applied in every province and territory. It changes a little bit based on the province or the territory, but it generally consists of two questions that the prosecutor and or the police have to answer before they can go ahead with any charges, tickets, or prosecution. The first question is there a reasonable likelihood of conviction? Because if you aren't going to be able to convict the person you're charging, then they shouldn't have been charged in the first place. Now, the second question is this prosecution in the public interest? So what we've had is a few cases where medical exemptions have come up, but in Saskatchewan, it was not very clear from the government perspective what these medical exemptions should look like, why they should be issued on behalf of the medical profession. There was just a lot of questions surrounding it. So quite a few of our clients who did have medical exemptions, or at the very least believe they should have medical exemptions, have been able to bring those up to the police or the prosecutors. And to their credit, the police or prosecutors have looked at these medical exemptions, or what should have been a medical exemption, and agreed to drop the charges or not pursue the charges in the interests of the medical health of that person involved. Then in some other cases, the public interest starts to come into play, and this can involve a whole number of things, including importance of enforcing the law, the importance of applying the spirit of the law, and a number of other things that the prosecutors are trying to balance in their function. And what we've seen is that if there's going to be a significant effort on behalf of the Crown to try and pursue these charges, and in some cases, these are charges that go across the country. So we're talking about clients in one place and charges in another place of the country. It appears that the effort just isn't there, and it's better off if we just leave it in this particular case. Now, this is a case-by-case analysis. The prosecutor and or the police have to assess each case on its own merit and decide whether they think there's a reasonable likelihood of prosecution and if there's a public interest in the prosecution. And so there's no universal solution here. We are trying to work with the prosecutors to show them why there is no reasonable likelihood of conviction or why this particular prosecution isn't in the public interest. But there's really no guarantee on any case that the prosecutorial standard won't be met.
Okay, so we won the battle, but the war still wages. We and you at home who pitched in to fight the fines and Chantel's lawyer have secured one victory in this case. One fine dropped, but the other fine still remains. And so naturally we keep fighting. But we know the fines are beatable. We have been getting them thrown out all over the place, like the fine that we had tossed for Walter Matheson, the New Brunswick man who got a ticket for eating a muffin alone in his car in a Tim Hortons parking lot. And we also got the ticket tossed for Thomas Hahn, the man who received a lockdown ticket for hosting a private Easter dinner in his own home. We lawyered those fellows up and their tickets were withdrawn. But it's not inexpensive to take on the government and the health cops in court. If you can help us get Chantel's remaining ticket tossed out and also help the nearly 2,500 other average everyday Canadians, people who could really be any one of us who have received lockdown tickets for trying to be, the old normal in these new normal times, please donate today at fightthefines.com. And good news, because all donations there now qualify for a charitable tax receipt through our partnership with the registered Canadian charity, the Democracy Fund. Thanks again for all your help so far. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. To help us help Chantel and her lawyer beat that remaining lockdown ticket in court, and to help the, frankly, thousands of other Canadians who have received a lockdown ticket, please donate today at fightthefines.com. And all donations there now qualify for a charitable tax receipt through our important partnership with the registered Canadian charity, the Democracy Fund.